Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a multi-perspective video, in fact a dual perspective video. You're looking at a Panhard EBR 105, the Tier 10 French light wheeled vehicle, and next to it is an Object 261, and we're both on the north spawn of Prokhorovka. The EBR is being driven by D-Tronics UK of REBRN, and the 261 is under my command. Game started. Well, we're going to follow D-Tronics to start with in this game. He's got a 105mm gun, firing standard APCR, does 390 alpha and penetrates 190mm of armor with standard rounds and goes up to 240 with the heat rounds. And he's going straight for the center line to spot the enemy. And, oh, he spotted some straight away. And pulling away. Oh, he got hit. Yeah, A phase 1 got around him for 440. That was not good, but he did get some spots in, and those are quite useful. He's now venturing across the centre line again. Yeah, and the enemy's firing at him, alright. Of course, they're trying to stop him from spotting them. And he's gone round the rock. Oh, driving fail. Drive backwards as quickly as you can. Took around from a T26E5. So he's lost half his hit points, and one of his wheels was badly damaged. You can see it's a bit of a wonky one, but he's fixed it. Okay. Well, as I stated last night during the live stream, I may be doing videos about EBRs or EBR replays in the future, but I will be very salty about them during the videos. So if you don't mind me being salty, then you can send your replays in, so long as it's a good replay. But remember, these vehicles I consider should not be in the game at all. They literally are too overpowered by far, and in fact even the recent nerf that Wargaming brought in is actually a buff by mistake. And they spotted an LT432 right up at the centre line. And yes, I'm afraid that LT432 spotted me, and I started receiving enemy fire virtually straight away. Well, the LT432 is no more, and D-Tronics is still doing a very valuable job trying to find out where the enemy is. He's now gone south of the bowl, that little area on the centre line on the 1-2 line, and he's found a T30 and a Ferdinand. That's very useful because, of course, our guys can then get shots in. Oh, he took a round from a T95 that was intended for the enemy, but accidentally hit him instead. But thankfully, no team damage, so he's okay. Now, maximum speed on this vehicle is 90 kilometers an hour with the cruise mode engaged. Or is it cruise mode or sprint mode engaged? With the cruise mode, it'll only go up to 70, but it will corner a lot quicker. And in fact, 70 is mostly okay. And oh, he's picked up a scout medal. He's actually found more of the enemy. A T28's been spotted now. So he's spotted at least 9 enemy vehicles. He's got, so far, 4,435 hit points of spotting assist. 4.4k. It's a massive total so far, and an active spotter. That's very brave indeed. Now he's coming back to our lines. Oh, narrowly missed the Type 61 there. You couldn't see. There he was. Headed for the centre line again. Do a quick check over this side of the map. Of course, he's got to watch out that he doesn't get linger too long, because otherwise the enemy will take advantage. And yes, he is going to get spotted. Excellent bit of spotting. I used to do this myself when I first joined the game. I used to take an A20 or a Lux up to the centre line and do figures of 8 around the centre line, spotting all the enemy and letting my teammates get the kills. And it was amazing the amount of spotting assists you could get. He's picked up another 69 there from the destruction of T26E5. That was one of the guys who hit him. And the enemy's already lost, well, they've lost quite a few tanks actually already. They've lost the AE phase 1 that hit him earlier. They've lost an E75, a T30, a Skoda T27 and that LT432, who caused a lot of pandemonium up at our end of the map, well, my end of the map, because he was spotting all of the Artys in that corner. Well, he hasn't actually been hit for a while, and we're 3 tanks ahead of the enemy at the moment, but D-Tronics is really into this now. He's getting a kind of fluid movement, spotting where the enemy is. He's found an IS-3A in the village, and he's getting spotting assist on that, so he's now up to 5.5k. Yeah, shells ripping into those enemies. He's having to get closer to the other side though to spot where they are. He's decided he's going to go over into the enemy territory, and unfortunately drove through some buildings, which has slowed him down a lot. But he fires around into the IS-3A, who drops down into the river, and I think he's a one-shot now, so I'm pretty sure that D-Tronics can get the kill on this guy after he reloads. Yes! And he's got him. Okay, so he's got his first kill, and he's now up to, well, he's still at 5.5k of spotting damage. Oh, and the enemy Arty found him, and he's now got 2 wonky wheels, and he stopped just for a brief moment. He's probably gone unspotted. He's still got 1 wonky wheel. That's one of the drive wheels, the ones in the centre, so he's had to slow down for a short while, and he's lost his driver as well. That's actually inhibiting him. He ought to put the driver back in, because otherwise he's going to be going slowly for a while. I'm not sure he's noticed his driver's down. This thing goes so quickly anyway. Hopefully he will put the driver back in, because if he stays at this slow speed, or if he stays with his driver injured, he won't receive the HP for that driver at the end of the game. Of course, the HP is evenly spread amongst the live players or the live crew of a tank, and if one of the crew is dead, they actually don't receive the HP that they should. So it's well worth actually putting a crew back into life so he gets his share of the XP. Well, he's decided to stop here and now take a few shots at the enemy. There's an EBR 105 on the enemy team, and he's moving left and right, trying to throw off the attentions of our team. 6 enemies still alive, most of them over in the west side of the map. The EBR's gone over that side to try and interfere, and D-Tronics is now headed over there. I think he's going to go after that EBR if he can. Try and interfere with the EBR, and that way he might be able to... Oh, he's decided to stop for a shot on the T-28. Didn't get that one in, but... Oh, he did kill the Ferdinand, actually. And he spotted 2 Artys. So they won't last very long, but he's still in reload, and the EBR comes up and fires around in, but he ram kills him and dies in the process. Unfortunately, the enemy EBR was just too healthy, and he survived the battle. So sadly, all over for D-Tronics. So let's have a look at my battle, or the battle from my perspective. And we're off. Okay, well, D-Tronics has departed to the centre line to actually use spots on the enemy, and I'm taking my Object 261 over to the west side of the map. Now I've got an 18cm howitzer capable of 900 alpha, penetrating 45mm of armour, and I've got a burst radius of 10 meters and a reload time of 26 seconds. Now I've decided to start the match in this position here. It's a bit in the open. My fellow Arty are moving into their positions right now, and D-Tronics has already spotted the enemy, and there's an AE phase 1 making his way up towards the centre line. I fire him and it shoots right over his head. I didn't give enough lead on the target, and as a consequence I missed. And there's D-Tronics going through the frame again. Oh, he just drove into the rock and took a round from the enemy. I think that was from the T26E5. Okay, I'm dialed in on the AE phase 1 and almost about to fire, but he dies. So I've now moved the aim over to where the E75 was last seen, and I'm waiting for someone to spot him, and D-Tronics is doing that right now. He's popping up to the centre line to try and see where they are. we were in TeamSpeak together, so we could see. And there's the E75, and it actually wasn't D-Tronics who spotted him. But I get a first round into him, and my sixth sense has just gone off, which means there is an enemy fairly close, and he spotted me. And I'm manoeuvring, immediately go straight first forward, because you can move faster forwards, but now I've got behind the bush, and I've been spotted again. So obviously there is an enemy fairly close, and I'm trying to pivot round so I can move, get to a new firing position as quickly as possible. There's the other Arty on our team. I'm trying to pull back as quickly as I can, get as far away from them, and oh, I've just been hit by a splash from a FB3805, and I'm going to change position again and move over to the west side of the map. So I'm hugging the edge of the map, and I get splashed by a very near miss from a Conqueror gun carriage and lose 453 hit points, and now I've only got 1 hit point left. I should have been wiped out by all rights, I should have been, but Wargaming, you know, with their new rule which keeps people in the game with 1 hit point, say if they would have been wiped out, leaves them on just 1 hit point, keeps them in the game just a little while longer. Okay, so I'm in a bush now where I can fire, but I'm going to have to keep changing position on a regular basis. I'm loaded, ready to go, and no stun. I'm still waiting for sighting on that T26E5. Reticule's drifting, and there's a T28 in sight down the south, and I think it was D-Tronics who spotted that guy. He's pulling back now, lining up a shot, rounds out, and I didn't stop to see what happened with that one, because I wanted to make sure that I moved to a new bush quickly to avoid any counter battery if the Conqueror gun carriage was waiting for my first shot, and no shot came. So obviously I broke my cardinal rule of not staying to watch the shell, but from now on I will stay to watch the shells because I didn't get countered straight away. Rounds out the E75, it lands on the ground in front. I'm pulling away from that bush slowly in reverse. Again, shouldn't really do that, should go forwards and turn, but I was a bit concerned that somebody might still be spotting. That LT432 was killed. That was the guy who was spotting us during the game. Okay, T26E5 up at the centre line. Marked him as target. Dialing in. Almost ready. Rounds out straight away because I know he's there. And I get a nice hit, a solid hit for 317. And I think it was D-Tronics who got the bonus out of that one, the spotting assist. Okay, the E5 goes down. Now, over on the east side of the map, we've got a Leopard prototype making his way down the river. And we've got a Nudes 14.5 and a Lynx 6x6. The same Lynx that was on our side of the map has now moved over to the east side. And I'm hoping they're going to spot that guy. Here comes an E4. I'm trying to dial in while leading the target. Rounds out. Well, it landed close to him for 318. And I'm moving away from the bush I fired from, just in case anybody was looking. Nope, nobody looking. So I'm reasonably certain that they're not counter-batterying anymore, because they can't see where we are. And they're not looking for the tracer. Okay, I'm loaded. Trying to get that E4. Rounds out. It landed short, only 283 this time. I think I was aiming a little too short, yeah. Wasn't as good as before. The E4 is still making his way up the east side. He just took out our Udas. And I'm trying to slow him down for the Lynx, if I can. Almost loaded. Rounds out. Yup, that got him. That right into his rear for 406. And I've just picked up a load more stun assist, and the E4 is no more. But there is an IS-3 over there, and that's the one that D-Tronics is after. He's already hit him once, and he's going after him again. And any second now, yeah, that's the shot from D-Tronics as she comes into view and takes that guy out. So there's no enemies on that side of the battlefield at the moment, and I'm still looking around for new targets. I know there's a T-28 and a Ferdinand further south, because those are the ones D-Tronics found, and unfortunately he's just been hit by enemy Arty. Now, enemy Arty's been indicated in this area, so I dial in and look in this area. Somebody pinged the map, said an Arty's there. So I'm having a quick look to see. Can't see any tracer. The enemy EBR has been spotted near the railway line. 6x6 found him. And you can see D-Tronics is making his way south, but I don't see any tracer from any enemy Arty in this vicinity. So I think somebody must have got it wrong. Either that or the guy moved into the bushes pretty promptly after firing. So in a short while I'm going to give up looking in this area, because there's no point hanging around. If somebody gives you duff information about where the enemy Arty is, then you have to prioritize the targets that can be seen. And there's that EBR, and he's on the move. You can see 3 marks of excellence on his barrel, so he is a well-practiced EBR player. And unfortunately, he's causing major problems for our team. Okay, going back to the T-28 and the Ferdinand, I expect our T-95, the Doom Turtle, to spot them any second. And there comes the EBR again. He keeps lighting up our guys, and suddenly, I'm still trying to lead that guy, but he's not being very predictable. And so, instead, I'm going to aim for the Ferdinand, lining up a shot, fire it, and because it wasn't fully dialed in, it didn't hit the target. So again, I think that EBR driver is actually putting me off to a certain extent. Enemy Arty's been spotted. I'm going to go for the Conqueror gun carriage. That's the guy who hit me for the most hit points. And D-Tronics just got wiped out by the enemy EBR at that point. And there goes the Conqueror. These guys were spotted by D-Tronics. I'm trying to get that EBR batch at 155.55. Yes, no problem with that. That one worked. Okay, I'm now dialing in for the T-28, who's hiding behind the wreck, but he gets wiped out in this instance by the FB3805 at the other end of the map. Now, the EBR's been spotted at the centre line, and he's headed this way, and I suddenly realise, oh my god, he's going for the Arty. That means he's after a Dimitri's. And there's nobody in the north except the Arty to try and defend this area. Now, I could have stayed in the bush where I was and waited for him to arrive and shotgunned him, but that FB3805 distracted me for a few seconds. And by the time I came to my realisation, I should have driven south. I actually drove over to where the FB3805 and the M53 were to try and help them defend themselves. I fired one quick shot on the move. And unfortunately that shotgun was very, very bad, and the EBR had no problem coming in and took me out. And that was the end of me. And now you can see that he's actually now waiting for his reloads so he can set about the other two Arty, pick up his Dimitri's medal. These vehicles are so OP, they're purely designed to kill Arty. That's why they brought them into the game. It's the only reason they brought them into the game, because they were just way too OP. And how could Wargaming sell OP premium tanks if there's an OP normal tech tree tank that can outclass them completely? It's one of the reasons why they've got to be nerfed and nerfed permanently. And it's got to be a nerf to the physics of the vehicles, so that if they do get injured in any way, that they slow down dramatically and then they can easily be killed. That's the only way to make it fair. These guys, they've purchased a vehicle which they think should be able to carry on as being as OP as it is, but all they're doing is they're ruining the game for others. You see, you've got 3 tanks here, well, 2 tanks and a tank destroyer, a T-26E5 Patriot, a Object 2684 who's 91% health, and a T-10 with half his health. And they're being outfoxed by an OP light wheeled vehicle. I mean, it's ridiculous. The Object 2684, or Bobject, is probably supposed to be one of the most OP tank destroyers in the game. But it can't cope against an EBR 105 simply because the EBR 105 is too quick. It's got too big a gun with too big an alpha. And they can never see the thing coming until it's too late. So we were actually advising these players at the time, go for the cap, start capping, all of you, get into the cap, and if the guy comes towards you, all of you try to nail him at the same time. At least that way, he can only get 1 reset at a time, The others are going to continue to cap, and then eventually you will win. But the T10, he stayed over there on the west side of the map, and eventually he decided that he was going to go up to the center and try and prevent the EBR from getting a reset. But you will see the EBR come back any second. Where is he? He's on his way. We're capping, and he's waiting until the cap points get high enough. And they're high enough now to get a Defender medal. Wait for it. Yep, he's been spotted. Where's the EBR? Yep, he hits the T26E5 Patriot from the west side of the map. That's where he is. Oh, no, he wasn't in the west side. Sorry, he was in the east side of the map, in the tree line. There you go. And now the T10's going off to try and block him from getting close enough to do another reset. He knows the T26E5 Patriot has been reset, but the Bobject is still capping with virtually full hit points, and the EBR can't get close. Yeah, he fired, but not close enough, and now we cap out. Yep, the Bobject tries to kill him, but it's all over. So, how good a battle did D-Tronics actually have in his Panhard EBR 105? Well, you're about to find out. Let's have a look at the end of battle stats. And look, it's an absolutely brilliant game for him, because he not only got a second-class tanker, didn't score enough to actually get the ace, but he did get the Holy Trinity, the spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage, a patrol duty for being the only one spotting at least 6 enemy tanks whilst they were damaged, and finally the scout medal for finding and being the first one to find 9 enemy vehicles during that game. His win rate from the battle was only 1654, but that's because he didn't do a whole lot of damage himself. Instead, he actually allowed other people to do the damage to the enemy instead. And I think we can see that best if we go to the detail report straight away. 5 shots fired, 3 direct hits, 3 penetrations, damage of 1,275 hit points, of which 334 were at more than 300 meters. He received 3 hits from the enemy. 2 of those shots actually penetrated him, and 2 hits by way of splash damage from the enemy Arty. One of those actually did damage him fairly badly, but he spotted 11 enemy vehicles, 2 more than he needed to get the scout medal. Damaged 3 of the enemy, killed 2, and did 7,036 hit points of spotting assist from that game, from an active spotting game. It's much easier to score spotting assist from a passive role, but actively driving around and letting the enemy shoot at you whilst you're spotting them, yeah, that's a pretty good total. In fact, that's a very good total. But I suppose EBR drivers will contest that and say, oh, I've done better. But it's a very good game for D-Tronics, I would say. He really helped us to pile on the damage on the enemy in that game. He earned 60,794 credits from the game, and after repair and ammunition resupply, he just used standard ammo throughout, didn't need to use the heat rounds. 38,619 credits. He got 7 bonds because it was at tier 10, and 1,465 XP times 2, plus 733 for completing the mission events, and took away 3,664 experience points altogether. If we look at my results, and you can see I managed to get a 3rd class tanker and a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. I got 13, but I didn't get as good a game, mainly because I was actually so badly damaged I left on only 1 hit point for most of the game, until of course the EBR finished me off. My win rate was 2,396, which is good, but not excellent, not in my normal league. And if we look at the team score, we'll look at the detail report. You can see 11 shots fired, 5 direct hits, 1 penetration on the enemy, 8 splash, damage of 2,595 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. I received 2 hits, 1 penetration, 1 non-penetration. Well, the 1 penetration shot actually came from the EBR, finished me off, and 2 hits by way of splash damage. Yes, that was the Arty shots at the start of the game. The first one from the FV-3805 and the second one from the Conqueror gun carriage, which did a lot more damage to me because it landed right next door to me when it came in. I damaged 6 of the enemy, killed 1. I did 364 hit points of damage assistance. If I'd actually hit 1 more enemy, if I'd actually wounded the EBR, I probably would have got a Confederate medal out of that one. But because I actually killed a tank, I only had a difference of 5, and that's why I didn't get the Confederate. I did 364 hit points of damage assistance and 1,247 hit points of stun assist of 8 stuns. On a premium count, I earned 49,028 credits from the game, got 50,000 credits for completing the mission events, 99,028 credits altogether, and after repair and ammunition respawn, I did fire some premium rounds during that game to give me the extra splash, and that meant that my takeaway was 49,503 credits. I picked up 5 bonds in the battle, slightly less than D-Tronics, but then he did get more medals than me, much more. He got 3 medals, I only got 1 bruiser medal, that's all. And 1,072 XP from the game, times 2 for the first victory, 2,683 completing the mission events, and 4,828 experience points altogether. So a pretty good game. If we look at the team scores, you can see that when it came to damage, I was second in the table on my team. The highest scorer was the FB3805. He got a Confederate 3,398 hit points of damage, which was higher than the highest scorer on the enemy team. The EBR got 3,204, and I came third on damage overall with 2,595 hit points of damage. We can see that D-Tronics actually scored in the lower part of the table, but that's because he wasn't actually intending to do a lot of damage, but he found that IS-3 and he actually dealt with him and got rid of him that way. And so yes, he did pick up a nice amount of damage points in that game, but of course he got the medals, which was a major help as well, plus the spotting, which was incredible. And if we look at the number of kills, we can see that the top scorer was that EBR. 4 kills to him, 3 kills to their Batchat 155-55 and our FB3805, 2 kills to the UDES, the Object 264 and our EBR 105, that's D-Tronics, and also to the T110E4 on the enemy team. When it came to base XP, it was D-Tronics right at the top of the table. All that spotting assist really earned the XP for him. 977, highest scorer in the game. 881 went to the FB3805. He was actually doing damage and not spotting. And the M53, M55 managed 758, which was, well, just after the 817 earned by the EBR 105. I only picked up 715 experience points out of that one, but that's mainly because, of course, my game was kind of interrupted when I got hit by the enemy. But that was mostly down to the fact that that LT-432 managed to spot me, and I was sitting out in the open, not at the back in the bushes, and that made it easier for him to find me. So the answer is, go to a bush and stay there, and only move about to conceal where you are from the enemy. I was lucky in the sense that they didn't counter battery, because if they had, I probably would have been out of the game very quickly. But anyway, it was a good game by all, but especially good game by D-Tronics UK of REBRN in the Panhard EBR 105. And yes, this replay happened last night on Twitch TV. And D-Tronics will be streaming again this evening at 9 o'clock, and we'll all be joining Zoe Balls when she starts her stream on Twitch TV a little later on in the evening, and then we'll be moving over to the NA server afterwards, so everyone in America can actually join us as well and have a bit of fun all together. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like and do subscribe to our channel, please. And thanks for watching.